Okay, here we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Northborough Cultural Council. And this is Tuesday, January 25th. And I have some verbiage to read since we are live and virtual. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on June 16, 2021. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will not allow for public comment. And let's see. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical locations. All members of the Northborough Cultural Council are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Cultural Council to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberation of the meeting. And the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. In ensuing ensuing public access did not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comments. And first we have approval, attendance. And so we have, so if you can just signify by aye, we have Lori Tyrone Pandit.
Here.
And Bick Wynn.
Here.
And Janine Vitale.
Here.
And we have Craig Cox.
Here.
And we do have a guest speaker, a little bit, or somebody joining us with some information. And I would like to welcome our select board member, Julianne Hirsch, who will be giving us some information in a bit as well. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes for December 14th. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve the minutes of December 14th as sent out by Bick.
Okay. Anyone?
I second the motion. That's Beck. I second the motion.
Okay. And so all in favor, Lori
Yes.
and
Yep, sure. Yep. Oh, sorry.
and Janine
Yes, yes.
and Bick
Yes.
and Craig
Yes.
and myself, that's unanimous. Okay, and next item is treasurer's report. Do you have anything to offer at this time, Craig?
Sure. Just a couple of things.
Okay,
So since we last met, I've been trying to continue to work the 2021 grant list. So we've paid 2 more of the grants in the last month. There are 2 that I have not heard from. So I'm continuing to try to go back to them and reach them in different means. One said that they did submit it in November, and unfortunately somehow that's been misplaced. So going through the process there again. And then the final one, Terry, I believe is an agenda item later on that is asked for an extension. So we'll come to that. So
Okay.
2021, we still have about $1,600 outstanding to pay, but I think everything will be covered. Segueing then to 2022 grant announcements. I had the item to notify via email the 2022 recipients. We still have a few, 5 or 6 individuals we have not heard back from. It was quite a delightful experience to hear from the rest of them, who are all very appreciative. Terry, you were, I believe, going to contact some of them, so I'll let you cover that when you wish. Otherwise, 2022 is in hand. And then my final update is, since we last met, we paid 5. So since we last met, the Go Outside program is kicked off, which is a later agenda item. I have already paid 5 of the artists
Oh, great.
and met a number of them. I'll give more of an update when that comes up on the agenda, but we are well underway.
This is fantastic news and something for Julianne to take off to the select board and give good news, because we all need good news right now.
So that'll,
Okay.
I think that's everything that I would bring as
Fantastic.
an update for now.
Okay, so just to fill in the blanks on the 2022, because I was making notes here. The ones, Craig, I don't expect you to have it in front of you now, but I wrote down that there were 6 that you had not heard from. And I have emailed, spoken to, or Facebook messengered them, asking them to check their emails, and the people that I was able to reach live were very excited and appreciative. And you should be receiving a response sometime soon, because I've asked them to respond by email. And so it sounds like they all went to the spam folders. But yes, so you should be hearing from people soon. And I'm trying to get people drummed up and excited and tell us about your event. And so my experience was very good. So I want the team to know how much people appreciate what we do, because sometimes that's hard to see. Okay, so next item, next meeting, shall we set that and get that settled? Let's see. So I think we're going to be able to cover a lot tonight. Does anybody have, as we know, meeting time slots are not simple right now, is based on what we have coming up, grantee reception planning. Maybe we have a, somebody, myself and somebody else talk about possible dates or see what's available. I'm guessing probably very much on the, very much correctly so, that everything's going to be virtual. So my anticipation is that we are all virtual like we did last year. So we will have to book Jim and welcome people in and have a slideshow or something like that is what I'm expecting. Does that sound reasonable to do what we did last year? I don't see another alternative.
So Terry, that's agenda item number 6, grantee
Oh.
reception planning. So why don't we just set the date?
Okay.
Perhaps February 10th, 2 weeks from now. And so either we're doing something in preparation for it where we need to sync back up on the 10th, or we decide not to do anything and we should still meet on the 10th to talk about
Perfect.
Culture Fest, which comes around the corner.
Okay, so February 10th is a Thursday, and I think that was not, I think that was a no-go night for
For the
meetings.
Zoom
Yeah.
meeting. What's the
Yes.
approved, what are the approved days?
So when
Friday?
I have asked, it changes. So I think currently Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the
Tuesday,
dates.
Wednesday. Jim, can you hear
Wanna-
us?
Yes, so sorry. So I believe it's Monday and Tuesdays are the days that I'm available.
Oh,
I
okay.
am also available on Fridays as well, but I don't know if you guys want to meet on a Friday, or you'd have to talk to the town about that as well. But Monday and Tuesdays are my open availabilities.
Okay. So with that knowledge,
We can try for the 8th.
I can tell you that I am working that evening. But Monday, Thursday, and Friday, so 7th,
Monday, Tuesday.
10th,
Friday.
Monday. We don't know about Thursday. but Friday could work. Tell me, I need some feedback from you guys.
Friday's okay. I mean, if we don't make it too long,
I'm trying. I am
Monday.
trying.
the 11th is fine.
I'm free pretty much any day in February so far.
Okay, Lori,
Extraordinarily busy, but I will change my schedule just to accommodate. So just let me know what night.
okay. Lori, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, same. Whatever works for you guys. I'll make time for it.
Okay, so how about this? I can try, and if I get rejected for one, I'll have a plan B. Do you want me to go for Monday, the 7th with a backup of Friday, the 11th? Because I really don't know what.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I was actually going to say the reverse.
Oh, okay. I can
I
do
know it
that
sounds
too.
strange, but I have no life on Friday nights.
I'm there.
Either one. If they're both available, come back to us and we'll make a decision. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So the 11th is the first dibs first, and the 7th is the second backup. And so that's what I'm gonna ask for and see how that goes. Okay, thank you for that. And next one, so ARPA funds. So now is my turn. So I listened, because I was covering for Northborough Cable last night, the Board of Selectmen meeting. The town administrator did a lengthy presentation on ARPA funds and what they see for the town. So what the state has for guidelines for us, when I say state, I mean the MCC, Mass Cultural Council, and how it's something that's available to us. However, it's a lengthy process, and I need to go back and look into some more based on what was presented at the meeting at the Selectmen last night. So with that, there's a lengthy slideshow, which you are welcome to go back into. So it's a Selectmen's meeting. It will be on YouTube and Northborough Cable from Monday, the 24th. Now, what was discussed is that ARPA funds have very specific ways that it can be used, and the rules changed at the beginning of January. So with that, so what I thought I knew before, rules changed, and I'm not sure if that came from the federal level or the state level, or it could be a combination of both. So COVID affected businesses and towns and people's ability to work and put budgets, many budgets on hold for spending. And what the town did is to put a lot of items, the town of Northborough, I'm sure a lot of other towns did, but specific to us, Northborough had a fire truck, a whole list of things that they put on hold. The town administrator, Mr. Coder, has given this list, and along with free cash, it's like $4 million ish, what he would like to spend on that. There was something else that he brought up, and it was, I'm not going to get it right, but be well Northborough or something. He gave a name to it, and this is interesting. It's about the mental health and support of the residents of Northborough. And so they're looking at programs and things. And thank you, Julianne, for jumping in to say, hey, doesn't this kind of go with what the Cultural Council is doing? Because the idea is they want to hire counselors, but they also want to provide entertainment and do programs where this is the town, where people can go outside and gather, but at safe distances. And ding, 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 I'm thinking about the Doors, and I'm thinking that the Cultural Council is working on and events. And so there might be some really nice opportunities that have been created for us to be involved. And Julianne, I'm going to hand it over to you because I'd like to have the rest of the team hear it from you, see what your take is on that.
So you're exactly right. It's called Be Well Northborough. And it all came about when there's a COVID task force that meets, and they included some boards and committees and determined that we're doing really well with vaccination and masks and things like that. But the biggest problem, and I think we can all acknowledge, is that it's this isolation that we're all experiencing by not being able to meet in person or have the ability to gather and see each other. So they launched, they're talking about this program called Be Well Northborough. There's a lot of money being invested in it. I saw $100,000 on the graph. Now, money goes fast. So for me, that to me, that sounds like a lot of money, but it's obviously, a real effort to get people back downtown, into the senior center, wherever. One of the a good example of one of the programs that's being requested is a meditation class at the senior center. So those are the kinds of things they're looking for. And I totally agree with Terry. I mean, having a public art exhibit where people can come down, be safe, maybe see other people, but, just to have the whole experience of seeing something beautiful and interesting, something to talk about is so. And, yesterday when I brought it up, people were, I think they were in agreement. I didn't hear any disagreement that this fits perfectly with your public art project. And probably also, I didn't know that you're also thinking about a culture fest. So Jen Bruno is the person who is heading this up. She's at the library. I don't know if any of you know her, but I wrote this down because I think that's the person you'll have to contact to see how how you become part of this and how you get some funding.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So I did not write down the person's name, and actually she is, if that name's familiar to anyone, she is the person that wrote the grant for the library to do the, it might have been the Chinese brush drawings. Hold on here, I'll get this.
Oh,
Brush painting, Chinese brush painting. So she could be very helpful. I learned that she's not going to be until Monday, so that's why I haven't been able to get a hold of her. So that is something I think could develop into something interesting for us. And I don't have specifics. It was the first time I'd heard about it last night, but I'm hoping that some of the things that we are working on, have been talking about, or maybe there's something out there that we haven't come up with yet that is going to suddenly be able to come to fruition sooner than we originally hoped or thought. But the public art, and I wish Suzanne could be here, but she has a good way of getting everybody drummed up and excited to talk about all these great things. So clearly the sun has got to be out longer. The ground can't be frozen to do some of these things where people are going outside more, but the hope is that we can get this rolling and have help from the town. Yes, Craig, please jump in.
Hey, Julianne, could you give us 2 minutes on a higher level, how ARPA money is being allocated? Who is making the decisions as it comes to the town level? Kind of what the cascade effect is here.
so last night was our first discussion about it, and it was very long because it was all also in combination with the some of the budget projections for the that we approve at town meeting. So the town will be receiving $4.5 million. We've already received $2.25 million. And that's the money that we're talking about for fiscal year, I think it's 2023. So one of the more obvious uses and easiest uses is for revenue replacement. And as Terry said, we had a little backlog of things that we put on hold while we didn't know what was happening with the pandemic, and those things will be voted on to be purchased. So the process to me is still a little bit confusing. The town administrator said that he's been talking to various boards, committees, departments about their kind of wish list. And last night, he had this list for us. And I'm trying to think if there's anything. I will say this. So one of the things that the town administrator is really concentrating on is the master plan and the priorities of requests that the townspeople had. And, Suzanne came to our meeting. Becky, did you come to our meeting too when Suzanne presented? Our first big project is to get, to address the downtown area with sidewalks, economic development, that sort of thing. And Suzanne was nice enough to come and talk about placemaking and how the public art would fit into that. So the master plan, and because we have all that information of what the people in town wanted, John is using that as kind of I guess benchmark is the right word, for how to allocate a lot of these funds. So that's pretty exciting, I think. And that right now, that was our first meeting, and it was mixed up with a lot of other financial stuff. But is that kind of clear? Or?
Yeah, so if I could paraphrase what I heard you say is, I saw some other communications at the town level. Jason Little has made a lot of recommendations on the revenue replacement. So, meeting some of those urgent needs, once you take that portion out, it sounds like the town administration is looking at information that we have, feedback we have, all the other requests, and putting a straw horse together. And I assume that with that proposal put out there, then the Board of Selectmen make the decisions on what the allocations will be?
Well, it's also Finance Committee and then Appropriations, Board of Selectmen, but a lot of the budget stuff goes to town meeting. Okay. So and we always have public comment. I know today I got a comment on are we putting any money towards child, family and youth services? So I think I think to answer the questions, it's right now it's the priorities are revenue replacement and the master plan implementation, which is really nice because we have all that information from the surveys that they did. I don't know if you paid attention to the steering committee. They did a lot of work, and so it's a nice amount of money. But the other good thing is we're also we've been already granted the Complete Streets grant approval, so that we can move ahead to get grants for connectivity with sidewalks and things like that. So there's a lot of money out there, and there might even be other possibilities as more bills are passed in Washington. So the town staff is keeping an eye on all of that stuff, and I'm sure that we'll all find a way to use it 10 times over.
Yeah, I think it's a good maybe a time for me to mention that yesterday the MCC had an ARPA funding call that ran for 2 hours as well. And they were taking input from all the artists and organizations out there as to how to best spend the money. So it was very interesting to hear either a very small organization or a large organization, all struggling in their own ways, and how, they think the money should be applied, what kind of rules we should put around it, or rules that we shouldn't have it at all, or what it is that they're suffering through, and what kind of infrastructure funding they need, and et cetera. So there were several hundred people on that call yesterday. So I would imagine, outside of what we would do as a town in Northborough, that we would also get additional support through the MCC network. Hopefully, yeah. I don't know if whatever final decisions they make on their portion of the ARPA funding, if it's going to be equally distributed to every local council, or it's specific, based on like, okay, if you're this size organization or you have these issues, these are what you can apply for. So whether or not we qualify for any of those, or we automatically get a portion of it, that remains to be seen, I guess.
Right.
So Terry, in my usual fashion, I'd like to propose that we as a committee agree upon a subgroup, a small working group, whatever is structurally appropriate to kind of be the focal point of this, either contacting Jen at the library or whomever else is appropriate at the town level, keeping that straight, as Vic just said, with MCC ARPA funds, but I think it'd be prudent for us to formalize, which among us will be the point of contacts. In the
I think that is an excellent idea. I'm happy to join if, Craig, did you raise your hand a moment ago to be part?
I do have the proxy of our absent member.
And you are the treasurer.
Well, there's one thing to count
Whoever.
the beans, there's another thing to grow the beans.
Whoever can join us, or maybe we have somebody rotate in or out, or something.
Is this
The
a
information-
formal motion we're making?
No, I think we're still discussing. Jeannie was raising her hand.
Janine, yes. Oh, you're on mute.
I would gladly join the subcommittee, yes, of this.
Great.
Whatever this actually means.
Yeah, it might be a Zoom or something, or even if it's two people to try and, I'm telling you, last night, that looking at the slides of everything, it becomes very convoluted, lengthy, and it was the first time I'd heard about it. I'd been listening to things from the MCC, the state level, and do this, speak up, talk to your administrator, mayor, select board people, and rally support. And it sounds easy, but when the rules changed, some of that stuff to me just, can you just throw another monkey wrench in? Because it's not straightforward. But Julianne did a great job of summarizing everything. And I would like to see us have a shot at something, because I'm passionate about, I believe that we are part of that wellness picture, connecting people. And I'm happy to stand up in front of somebody, I don't know, we're on a Zoom, and talk about this in some
This is
sort of.
perfectly our charter, right?
Yes.
It's a wonderful serendipitous moment to bring a lot of things together. What the state can offer through MCC, what we do every month, trying to add value and culture. And, it's a great opportunity. So I think Janine is raising her hand. I think Suzanne would want to, and would be that passion, and has already started having some of these cross-pollination conversations. Sure. Vic, were you volunteering? No? Okay, so I think we have two to start.
No, Terry said she was right. So Terry's the third person.
And maybe what happens is that somebody needs to call or speak with somebody, and then just get that information out there, and
there's the
to the rest
diplomatic.
of us.
There's the diplomatic part that it's wonderful to have Julianne with us here, because in these kinds of situations, timeliness often is very beneficial to start
Absolutely.
conversations. So if maybe Janine or Suzanne will get started, one of the three of you guys will get started contacting Jen, we'll be off.
Hey, can I make a suggestion also
Sure.
that you maybe have a little bit of an idea of a budget that would work for you with, you know, your projects and you know, the things that you will offer for, you know, offer the town, just so they have an idea of, you know,
Okay.
how much money.
Do we even have any ideas yet? I mean, this is a totally new thing, you know,
It's
so
a totally new
how are
thing.
we possibly going to give a budget? You
Well,
know,
this is a wonderfully creative opportunity because, you know, it's chicken and an egg, cart and a horse. To have heard, there's clearly a lot of thought that's already gone on.
Mhm.
Wellness and activities, outdoors, culture, spot. There's a lot of thoughts that are out there. So this is a wonderfully collaborative opportunity where, Janine, I think we can put some prices to some some concepts like concerts, outdoor cultural opportunities. We know how to do this. So this could be
Yeah,
good if we get the right people together and say, what about this, what about that? And it's
Well,
very
we're
good.
not,
It's
we're
very
not
good
the
for you,
first
Julianne.
ones.
We can put something together.
And we're not the
Another-
first ones either to go through this and doing things. So reaching out to other cultural councils, I have found MCC to be a crazy great resource with, that's
Absolutely.
how you guys discovered the doors.
And the other thing that comes up is community affairs in town does just a fabulous job with all the programs they put on, right? So this is a great opportunity. All right.
Another aspect is we can take a look at all of those denials because you know, we just didn't have sufficient funding, or the reach was beyond Northborough. And so there are plenty more that we would have wanted to fund a grant if we could have. Perhaps some of those could fall into the bucket of new money.
Or maybe a doors concept number 2. Maybe there's something
Oh,
else that's,
yeah.
You know,
That's true, because our grant request to the MCC for public art was denied. So we now have a hole we need to fulfill. So, you know, the whole plan that Suzanne had is currently unfunded.
Right.
That
So
right
that's
there.
the
right there.
easiest thing to
There you go.
suggest.
That's whatever.
I mean, that's why not? She's
There it
already
is.
done all the work
That's right.
and all the planning, and so there we go.
And the money amount is right there. So it's already documented and supported. Okay.
okay.
In the interest of time, Terry, we should move on to the next.
Okay. So
If necessary, maybe we need to vote on a subcommittee I'll make a motion, Terry, Janine, and Suzanne as a subcommittee to coordinate with the town and appropriate people.
okay.
That sounds
And-
great.
Is there a second?
I'll
I think,
second.
all right, whatever.
Okay, Vic is second.
Mhm.
Craig was first, Vic is second. And all in favor. I'm going across with my blocks. Lori
Yes.
and Janine
Yes.
and Vic
Yes.
and Craig.
Yes.
And yes, so unanimous. So we have ourselves a little subgroup to branch off and to look at what the opportunities could be. But
And Julianne, I say this because we're still trying to be very, very sensitive to open meeting laws and how we're able to function as a committee in smaller, actionable groups getting things done, and then how they bring that back to committee so that we're continuing to operate appropriately.
Yeah, I think as long as you're not a majority, it's.
Just letting you know, that's kind of why we're trying to structure it.
yep,
Thank
that's
you.
exactly what's going on. Otherwise, ideas just kind of die off. Okay, so moving right along here, grant extensions. So I'm gonna go over to one of my emails now. And so does the cheeseburger one sound familiar to the group? The question from this grantee from 2021 was, is this still good? And 1 year from the date of the original letter as stated? Or has that changed? Is it set to expire sooner? And may I please request a grant extension? And so, let's see, yes, this was Dr. The Machine, Jesse Green, chainsaws, cheeseburgers, and rock and roll.
Uh-huh.
And so the issue was that he has not been able to secure a date. That was the issue. But he said he is absolutely not given up, and I am proud to say that the program is successful in other cities and towns.
So
So,
Terry, I'd like to jump in and say from a procedural perspective on how we're allowed to release funds that come through us, I don't see a problem at all with us extending the date, particularly given the COVID provisions and allowances that have been passed to us from MCC. So I see no reason why we couldn't extend the grant into the into the end of the school year at least, because I believe his grant was for performance for our local middle schools.
yes, it was for this, I think it was to do it at Melican.
So then the next thing that I would, shifting gears, not just as treasurer, but from my opinion, then I am still interested in what his proposal is for doing his act. I don't know if it's going to be virtual. I don't know what it's going to be set up. And cutting to the chase is it's a $385 grant. And my hope would be that we still ensure there's a large audience for his performance, that it doesn't just go to, 5 people.
Right. My understanding is that it was supposed to be a group setting and to do it in front of, so that maybe the issue was that too many students crowded together. And that's what I was imagining when or that's what I had envisioned in my mind was the issue, and COVID and that getting in the way. So what is the process here now? Do I go back to him and ask him specific questions as to, or can we vote on yes, an extension, and you have until the end of June? Is that appropriate?
If the process, I would suggest we agree now on some general terms, and then you go back to them and see if he can meet.
Okay,
Well, I think schools are out before the end of June, so it would have to be during the school year, wouldn't it? If he's going to be at Melican. Yeah.
and then the start of the new year for the grant cycle starts in August, but I don't know if it's a beginning or end. So, and I really wanted to make sure that our treasurer would be okay. And he's
Yeah,
given us our stamp of approval. Okay, so do I need a motion? I think I need a motion here to approve the extension of chainsaws. I'm gonna mess this up. So I
The
will go back
cheeseburger
to
guy.
yeah, the cheeseburger guy. It's
Cheeseburger.
I'm so sorry.
Terry, maybe you pause on that for just a second, because
Okay.
Vic dropped off, and I guess we do have it's 4. I guess 4 is a quorum for us to vote. Never mind. Vic is trying to dial back in.
Okay.
We can still vote with 4.
Okay, so I will say that the request for an extension on the grant from 2021 is from Dr. The Machine, Jesse Green, chainsaws, cheeseburgers, and rock and roll. And so he is requesting a grant extension, and I will accept a motion.
Mm. So I motion.
Okay,
to be
Janine motions.
extended. Yep.
Oh, you know what? Vic
Well.
needs to, yeah, that's why we need Vic, because she's writing this down, or I can just tell her. Okay, so
I'll
Janine
second it then.
first and uh-oh, I hope Vic comes back. So that's our extension. And then, so all in favor, so Lori
Yes.
and Janine
Yes. Mhm.
and Craig
Yes.
and I, so that's unanimous. And I'm gonna look real quick here to see if there was another. Jim is, I don't know if you can hear me, Jim, but we're waiting for Vic to rejoin us. We're not sure if something happened to her or if she's able to come back, but I'm just letting you know, Jim, we are waiting for Vic to come back. Something
Absolutely.
happened.
Not a problem. Yeah, I'll keep the live stream going. I don't see her in the waiting room right now.
Okay.
Do you know if she's having computer issues or?
Not sure, but keep an eye out.
Absolutely, will do.
Okay, so I just sent her a message, hoping hoping everything's okay. I'm gonna look real quick, make sure there wasn't another one. Let's see. I had an email from, and this might require an extension, so, oh, yes. Do we have Vic back? Yes. Yay. Vic is coming back. Great.
I'm back. Something happened with my connection.
We missed you.
What did I miss though? I didn't-
Okay, so we
later.
approved the extension of a grant for the,
Okay.
it's the,
Cheeseburger rock and roll. Yep.
yep. And so he can only do it during the school year because it's for what I recall as Melican students. So
Mhm.
Melican
Yes.
Melican Middle School. I don't know if it was for the whole school or a specific grade. But Janine was first, Craig was second, and then it was unanimous.
And when are we extending it until?
I said the end of June because I really don't know when the last day of school is.
I know you voted, but my comment would have been, why not until the end of December? So that they have the fall term.
Oh,
I propose June, just not to drag it out too long. If, I'm sure if he can't get something by June, he'll let us know and then we could revote again to extend it farther.
Okay.
But just not to let it drag out too much.
Okay, it's fine.
That's kind of where my thought was, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Okay, so I did, hopefully this is already resolved, but it was just in my box. Did you receive anything from Art on the Trails that Ms. Weber received $400 and wants to submit for reimbursement? This is not an extension request, but was everything, does that ring any bells, Treasurer? No?
So Catherine Weber and Art on the Trails for 2021 was paid already for their grant.
Okay, so that's it. These were some notes that I had that were just open items and I just wanted to put them to rest.
It was a
So,
different amount that you mentioned. However, it was paid what we granted them.
okay. Okay, so I think that's all set. All right, so the next item I have is grantee reception planning. So I'd like to take a finger poll and see what the team's thinking, but my gut reaction is that it's going to be virtual because we just don't know. Government meetings, I can tell you in Northborough and Southborough, everything's still virtual, with the exception of there's been random school committee meetings. Like I covered the regional school committee meeting last week, and I was surprised to see that it was in person. Next week is the Northborough school committee meeting, and I haven't seen the agenda yet, so I don't know if that one is expected to be in person. But I would say that the majority of everything for right now, we're going to just have to assume that it's not going to be in person. So what is the expectation? A February grant reception? Is that too soon? I would like to keep the Cultural Council in the minds of people. So if we have even just a virtual grant reception, oh yeah, this is going on, and a way to get people excited, because we can't do anything at the library in the near future that I'm aware of. Do people have any thoughts on this, Vic?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to suggest we don't have one.
Oh,
You're probably surprised, but
yes.
I want to keep people engaged and interested. And sometimes a Zoom meeting, I'm on meetings like left and right all day long, and then you get to another Zoom meeting. And we thought it was going to be 1 year. Now it's 2 years worth of meetings. I kind of want to give a different relief, but how creative can we get, right? So what if we did something different? Like we still have a digital recognition, still online, but it's not a meeting, because you find people don't really attend except for the ones who won, and so because they're kind of obligated to attend. So what if we did like some sort of a recognition, like almost like a slide, like something about the little square about them, but it's posted on Facebook, 1 or 2 every day for a series of days, representing each of the, I forget how many approvals we had. So let's say we approved 20. You can do like a running series of, the 2022, grantees, like announcement of, here's the name, the act, the picture, if they want something about them, and their links, and kind of little verbiage about it. And then people just kind of read it and know that that's going on. Because if they see it through Facebook, where they're on Facebook, they're more likely to know what's going on. Otherwise, if they don't attend the Zoom meeting, technically nobody knows what's going on. And we didn't really have anyone outside of the grantees attending last time either. We may have had 1 or 2 people. I'm not even sure we had anybody. So really, at the end of the day, we spent a lot of time doing slideshows and inviting people and making sure everybody gets invited. And then like really nobody in the community is what I mean. Still
Right.
knew whether or not, so like cheeseburger chainsaw was ever approved.
Right.
So I'm kind of debating the effectiveness of it. It seems to be like the only option we have, but I wonder if we can find a different way to do it this year.
Well, why can't we do something? I'm listening to what you're saying, and you absolutely have some points. Wouldn't it be worthwhile to combine that along with maybe, I called it a meeting, but I see that the Cultural Council being recognized by having state representatives, Julianne, it's still recognized. And I think maybe we do something that's in combination with what you're talking about, Vic, because I do see the value of that, letting people know, hey, this is what's going on. This is part of Julianne, to what was being talked about last night. This is part of the wellness of our community. Hey, look at what's going on. This is what's happening. This is what we're doing. And this is something you have to look forward to, because boy, this really stings. Another year of everything online. Yeah, all I did to go, I did some work at the office today, and then I came home and sat in my chair 2 seats over to do work. And now I moved to the other end of the table, and now I'm, doing something to try and get creative.
So definitely we have to think about what our objective is number one, primarily to recognize all the recipients, and then to get our name out, their name out, and introducing the acts of the year, basically, right? What's coming up for people to attend. So what is the best way to communicate that? So that, people would remember and say, oh, there's something about the cheeseburger I want to keep an eye on, or the Chinese brush painting.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. But we spend the time, so we see the impact. But if you think about it, nobody attended the Zoom meeting. So who knew? And if we don't post it on Facebook, and I don't remember if we even posted our own Zoom session on Facebook, then literally nobody knew except the people who won, right? We put the effort in, so we think everybody knows because it's out on Facebook. And we'll have to go back to see how many people actually replayed that, because there were times when we surprised ourselves and we saw that 30 people actually watched our Zoom meeting minutes. So if we go back and we say, oh, well, actually, you know what? You showed me that 100 people actually watched that session, then it's okay, then it's worth it. But if we get the answers really 5 people saw it, then we still haven't made our objective.
So here's another angle. The benefit of having an in-person grant reception is that you get to meet people in person, and the grantees get to meet each other, maybe talk, share ideas.
Yes.
That has a huge benefit. And I think it's also a huge benefit. Julianne's here. She's a representative of the town, well-spoken. She talks. And then whoever, if Senator Eldridge can attend, Representative Kilcoyne, there's a certain amount of credibility and respect that happens. And yes, we're all just looking at little squares on the screen. As long as I see the benefit, as long as it's not long and dragged out, but an opportunity to say, hello, I recognize you. I recognize your talent and what you can contribute to the community of Northborough. And we thank you for that. And I think we can, you're right, Facebook does play a part here. And I'm going to say again, I was not familiar with the Cultural Council until Sylvie came over to me and said, hey, want to join us? And I said, who? I was thinking I was going to have a coffee with her, and oh, there's Craig. Oh, Boy Scouts. Okay. That was my association. Through the grantees seeing each other on screen, when we finally get to see each other in person at an event, at something, it's something, it's going to have to be in the future. I see the benefit, and it's just maybe the grantee reception is a half hour. That's it. Hi, thank you so much. Meet and greet. We appreciate what you're doing. Finding a way to get people excited. That's what I'm seeking.
Are all in-person celebrations being canceled of every kind?
Well, we cannot meet in person at the town hall and the library. Anything in person, no. I mean, you can go borrow a book, but all of the meetings, they called me and said, sorry, can't meet. So, I mean, unless we schedule something out in the town common where we're all standing, several feet apart from each other, and that doesn't sound reasonable either, because it could be a snowstorm. I would like to do something, but I don't know if we have to have an extensive production at all with music or anything else, but maybe just welcome back. And we still believe in what you're doing, something that affirms that what we're doing and what they're doing. That, I guess that's my motivation.
Yeah,
But
so how about this? Why don't we put together a subcommittee to plan the layout of this, whatever it looks like? We still have something virtual, sort of like a half and half of what you're saying, but think about the time that people put it into it and people attending with nobody listening. So a different format, but still virtual. So that you
We-
capture like the representatives who come, that should definitely be recorded and replayed. That's the first 5 minutes that they're here when Julianne's talking and when, who special guests can speak. That's the most important message that we want to get out there on, in support of us and support of the grantees. And then the rest of it should be light, I think I spent like at least half an hour, 45 minutes reading through all the, grantee acceptances. I mean, describing who they are and what they do. And then they also spoke up. So I think that was a little bit long-winded, maybe a different format there, but some of the important
Sure.
things we keep.
So I just looked, there are 60 views on that grantee reception,
16 or 60?
60.
Oh, it's pretty good. That is
So
actually
it's,
very good.
so it's not that bad. I'm actually pleased.
Me too.
So, but,
Okay.
and that was our first crack at it too. So my thinking is that maybe this through the grant recipients, and as I said, I reached out to several and spoke to them, and maybe that's part of it, just the personal touch. Welcome. We're looking forward to it. We're not just another town that you're gonna be doing a performance in or sitting at the library. No, we recognize what you're trying to achieve and your skills or talent and how it contributes to, it's something Suzanne might say, contributes to placemaking.
Mhm.
What we are trying to achieve here as a group. I guess I really like that. So yes on subcommittee. And this doesn't have to be long and drawn out. This can 2 or 3 people talk and say, okay, what worked, what didn't. I wouldn't
How many
mind.
grant recipients do we have? I've forgotten.
I think 19.
19?
19 includes us, so 18.
Oh, 18. Okay.
Okay.
And then, so I looked, we had the grant reception on April 8th.
No,
So we have time. So things could change.
let's have a subcommittee who can sort of do preliminary drawings of like the layout by our next meeting
Okay.
to get more input, and then people can vote on, yes, one way or another before we dive down into the details of how to execute it.
I think that's great. Julianne, I saw you over there.
This is just a crazy idea that you might discuss in your subcommittee, but when you like launch the public art exhibit, that's going to be pretty exciting. Maybe you'd want to consider, and if we're allowed to meet in person, you'd want to consider, making it a huge event, combining the grant recipients and the big push. But you're going to discuss it in detail with your little group, so it just
I like that. I like that idea.
That could be a really nice rollout, and here we are. And so, Janine and I are the newbies in the group here, but I could see from when I first started coming to meetings, and I know we have some people on our screen here that are newbies and interested in what we do. So I just want to recognize that they're here. We are not allowed to take public comment as part of our meeting structure here. However, I do want to welcome and acknowledge that they're here, that you can join us as a group, or when we have subcommittees who need help on connecting with people or groups or ideas or brainstorming, because I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. And we're fun. If we're not having fun, what are we doing this for? Meeting on a night because we're trying to fill up our calendar. The Google blocks are just busting.
We're much more fun in person though.
Yes. Here. Okay. So who would like to be on this group? Vic, would you like to have some input? Because I think you
Sure,
have
sure, sure.
some.
You know, I'll do it again. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'll volunteer again.
Lori, would you like to have some input on this? Oh, okay, you got to unmute yourself.
I'm kind of with Big on this. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha,
so-
gotcha. Okay, so I'm glad to help. I'm glad to be part of that conversation because I think there's a way to combine things. And I just want to see everybody benefit, and not create a lot of work for us or for anyone else, but to make sure that we're doing it the right way.
Count me in also, Terry.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. She's conned
Okay.
into it. All right, there you go. I think we should send all the grant recipients little bunt cakes on the day. If the thing is Zoom, you know, here's your little birthday cupcake, you know.
that's great. That's Vic, you're on mute.
Okay, then I will make a formal motion to form a subcommittee to plan the layout of the grantee reception. And
Okay.
in keeping with meeting laws, there can only be 3, we don't have 4.
Ah,
Wait, no,
okay.
No, I'm sorry, Julianne, you said as long as we are not a majority, which is 5 for us. Right, so 4 people meeting is still okay? Or is it 3?
Oh, you're on mute, Julianne. I think it's
What's your
3.
total membership?
6.
So you should,
No, 7.
7.
7.
so 3 is like, 4 would be a majority, so it has to be 3.
Oh.
Okay. How about this? The subcommittee. I'll keep going with the ARPA with that group. Lori,
No,
do
you have to be on this one because you are the biggest supporter of the Zoom. Otherwise, we'll move it to YouTube recording
Okay,
something in a
got
minute.
got it. Okay, so Vic, me, and who else?
Yeah.
And Janine. Okay.
Okay, Anthony.
Lori, you aren't off the hook because there'll be something.
Something else
There-
for you to volunteer
There
for.
will be something. I am still in love with your artwork that you did with the little town and village, and that was amazing. So I want to make sure that gets used again somewhere along the way. So don't
I
lose
am
that
looking
file.
at some ideas for the meditation wellness art
Hmm, okay.
event or something. I think we can
Okay.
come up with something really nice.
I do
in that
too.
area.
So I am not the artist, but there are a few in this room here. So
All right, let me make the motion to form a subcommittee of Vic, Terry, and Janine, sorry, Janine.
That's right.
For the
And
All right.
Janine seconds, is that what I heard?
Sure.
Yes, okay, very good. And then, so now I need to, if you can affirm, so Lori?
Yes.
Okay, Janine?
Yes. Yes.
Vic?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And yes, so we are unanimous in that. Okay, so that's it. Update on the Go Outdoors Northborough Public Art Initiative. Suzanne is not here. Craig, can you represent the Cox family and give us, get us excited?
I don't know if that's an authorized subcommittee, but I find myself as sous chef to this endeavor. So I'm delighted to say that all 7 artists are in the process of being under contract. All 7 have their doors.
Great.
I handed 4 of them to some very excited people.
Mhm.
We have 5 contracts back. And as I said earlier in the meeting, I put in the payment for those 5 whose contracts we have. I'm sure that the other 2 will be forthcoming quickly. Suzanne asked me to let everybody know that everything is on track. She's been in discussion regularly with all 7 who are very excited. I'm sure it's going to be just beautiful. She did want me to also say she is still actively working with the right people to find our location. to narrow that down. We do not have that finalized. And then also to figure out how they're going to be mounted and put up. So that's in progress. You know, I think Julianne made a wonderful observation. Maybe we can combine events here, but you know, clearly this will be terrific. So everything is good so far.
This is fantastic news. And for anybody just joining us, may not have heard about this, the Go Outdoors initiative is part of, so I'm going to do my best to give a quick summary. It's part of a multi-year plan to have some semi-permanent, little longer standing art installments. And these are doors that Craig and Suzanne have located through Facebook Marketplace that people are getting rid of, and either by donation or where the Cultural Council has used its funds to purchase doors, actual doors. And these artists are going to, they're actually professional artists in some cases, where they're going to create these beautiful scenes or something that depicts something that's interesting in Northborough. And the idea is that people go outside, check out the artwork, go for a walk, maybe take selfies, but it creates a sense of, in the, again, the words of Suzanne, placemaking. But if you start looking at outdoor art installations, you start to see that that phrase come up a lot, placemaking. So we are making a statement or branding or a sense of who we are, where we are in Northborough. And so Craig and Suzanne had gone on some bike trails in more eastern parts of Mass and other towns, and they had some beautiful artwork that was done. And so that was put on some flyers. And so if you want to look on the Northborough Cultural Council Facebook page, or I'm sure some of those examples can be seen, but we're looking to do that and have that put up in different spots in the main areas or thoroughfares of Northborough, so that people come in and say, while they're out walking, while they're out bike riding, hey, look at that. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. Instead of just buzzing through Northborough, stop and talk and think and relax and enjoy. So it was a great idea, and I'm glad people are excited to keep this going. So that's what this is. Yes, Vic.
NCC also has a door that we're planning on doing. So
Yes.
Lori, we need to have a schedule of when we're going to get together to do the artwork, and I'm going to assume you'll be leading us on the artwork.
Yes. I am really psyched about that.
It's due what, end of March? When is the deadline? Right, end of March. So it's like 2
Yes.
months away. So
Yes.
I mean, that makes it like 8 weeks. So, you know, 8 weekends.
I'll just say we have 4 leftover doors. Just
Oh.
saying.
Okay, so that means you would have
Double
your
door.
pick.
Okay.
And
We're
you
a
know,
large one.
okay. But you know, this is hopefully going to create some positive motion to some interesting things as the snow starts to go and we thaw out and people start to go out biking, walking, and seeing each other, whether we have to maintain a distance or not. So that's in a nutshell what the doors are about. And then the 2022 planning. I don't have anything further to talk about. So I guess I'm going to say that unless somebody has something specific, that this goes for another meeting. Because
Well,
I'm watching the clock and I know
No,
it's already quarter to eight.
we have 45 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, so I think we should, because we do have people who came just for the festival or the
Oh,
cultural
okay.
fest. And I wanted to mention the first bullet that is on here.
Okay.
The MCC Festival grants is now open, which means we need to be applying. So if our cultural fest is June-ish timeframe or whatever timeframe,
Okay,
then we want to apply for, to get some funding for that. Right, so in the past, I think 1 year Leslie did it, and I know Suzanne did the most recent one for public art. But we need to apply for this one.
Lori. Would you like to apply for some art?
Grant
For-
application? Sure, but
Yes.
do you have to come up with an idea for the Culture Fest? And just because Julianne was just talking about this wellness band on cultural events, I was thinking we can do something like that for our Culture Fest. So the music can be
Part of it.
meditative, wellness type of music. The art, we can have public art where we allow people to do like they can paint meditation flags, which we can hang in trees and stuff. I mean, there could be a lot of things we can do if we want to go, and we might get the money from the town as well. That's the idea for it.
Who do we apply to for this money? Are we the Mass Cultural Council or?
Mass culture, yeah.
Must touch,
Yeah.
right.
But we can also apply to the town maybe. So we get
So Lori, what I hear you saying is to kind of integrate
right.
it's something that appeals to the mental wellness of our town, which is what the town wants to support with ARPA funds, right? With the cultural fest that we may not be able to have live, right? Because, COVID restrictions, even though it's outdoors.
Outdoors. So we might be able to have
we
it, I
would do
think.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something.
We always had
combination.
a theme for our Culture Fest. Usually it was diversity or something like that.
Mhm.
So this can be one.
Yeah, I mean,
This
we can do the same thing, so if it's the same format, then you've got the words around it, but if you want to do something different, then we'll have to discuss it in order to help you write it,
I
right?
mean, format can remain the same, just the theme
But
that
that's
format
fine, too.
applies to can be different, right?
Yeah.
We'll still have a stage with performers. We still have
Yes.
an exhibit. Public art, and
So
I don't
Terry,
know if we need to discuss more.
if I could back us up, I believed I had made the point last year, and I believe its agenda item was to take a positive statement direction, yes or no, to have a cultural festival. So I'm still 2 steps back. In light of what we've heard about the other ideas in the town for Get Well, some of the passion and the benefits there, I'm going on record as saying I'm shifting my personal perspective to being in favor of a Culture Fest and to do something like this. So to elaborate again, this Cultural Council exists to disseminate MCC funds. That's our primary mission. We have that underway. Secondarily, we have adopted and approved this tactical and strategic plan for an outdoor art. And that's going to take cycles of all of this committee. But we've agreed to do that, and we just talked about the doors. It's underway. We also have more work to do, though, for the 2022 component, be it a mural and everything else. So I'm reminding this group about that. So that was big item number 2. That's why coming into this, I was kind of leaning away from a cultural festival because of, quite frankly, the workload. But again, I'll repeat myself, in light of some of these other great, wonderful ideas and the benefit that I think we could have to the community, I'm now in favor of kind of what Lori was describing and what's been brought up. I think there's a great opportunity here to see what Jen at the library, what other folks are envisioning and bring this together. And then I'll wrap it up by saying I'm still not clear what some of our guests are hoping to learn about or are joining us for.
Okay. So So Julianne, trying to adhere to open meeting law, I would like to ask Julie if can I do that? Can I ask someone who's not on our committee about how they can help us?
Oh, I don't see how that would affect anything. You mean for you to reach out to?
Right now, one of the people on the meeting here.
We have two guests, Julie and Rachel, who joined us. So
Oh, I think that's your discretion as the chairperson.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
It's your discretion, even if it's not on the agenda, that there's public comment. I've been at meetings where I've been there and people have said, you've been waiting and would you like to say something? So.
Okay, yes, okay, Julie and Rachel. So I'm going to start with Julie. Welcome. And
Thank you.
yes, so your thoughts, and I know there's been a little bit of discussions going back and forth here, maybe between you and Vic. So do tell.
Oh, I just had mentioned to Vic that if we were doing a culture fest, I'm available to volunteer to help make it happen. And as you know, I'm also the chorus manager for Women of Note, who is one of your 2022 grantee reward recipients, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you. And also, but what I put in my grant, that if you were having that, I could try to make the chorus available to perform at that. I don't know that that meets Lori's vision of meditative music. It's not, but definitely singing is a wellness activity.
Absolutely is. I think this is fabulous.
And you might want to add, if you're asking what came to my mind when Lori was talking about wellness, was maybe we wanted to invite the public to sing, have maybe the chorus could lead a sing-along, a community sing-along.
That would be great.
Wow.
So that's what I'm thinking.
On
Oh
Zoom,
my
huh?
goodness.
No, I'm imagining that this is going to be outside.
Yeah, outside, yes, when the weather's warmer. So if we do a culture fest, I'm guessing May, June timeframe, something like that, before it gets too hot and and people have gone away. We're striving to unhinge ourselves from Apple Fest so that when there are crowds around, that everybody's not drawn away to some of the other events and things going on. So, it was just a pull between the different events. And so this is our effort to try and maximize the crowds and get people to come and enjoy and see and do. I don't know if I'm imagining, because I'm going back in time when we could do it in person, when there have been like the Solar Jazz Festival, people bring lawn chairs. I covered it for NCAT. It's up to watch, anybody who wants to go back and look at it. When Selvi Oyola was on, she had a connection with Turkish dancers, I think. It was fun to watch. I watched people buy food, bring food, spread out blankets. What more can you ask for? Kids blowing bubbles. This is great. This is great stuff. This is fun. This is what we're trying to do.
I have a question. Not
yeah.
having been involved in it last year. So, but last year you were all virtual. Is that true for the Cultural Fest? So are we planning in-person stuff this year, or both? Or what? You're planning in person or live, whatever, outdoors?
So the grantee reception would have to be virtual, I think. But the Culture Fest is separate. And this team, prior to me, prior to my time, pulled this off. And it was on the church lawn Lori, fill in the name of the church, please, so I don't, but it's a big red
First
door
Parish, Northborough on Church Street,
on,
which is the original meeting house of the town. So, and
Mhm.
has a very nice hill. It was, so the location was very specifically scouted. So it is in a very beautiful scenic
location.
place
Yeah.
when they settled the town. So it's a meaningful
didn't-
location as well. Yeah.
I didn't know that. So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a piece of history. So we can weave in a bunch of things here. I really like where this is going. Thank you, Julie. This is a great way to go. I really like that idea. So weaving in music and art and join us, and I think we need that. I think we all need that, even if we have to do it in a manner that's spaced out. Is there anything else? Because I wasn't in on all of these conversations, so some of this is brand new. Okay,
That's what I
that's a
thought
lot.
of.
That's a lot. Thank you.
I like the sing along idea. That would really
Yeah,
pull the
I do
community
too.
together.
Yeah, I do too. I know it's what you do and it's what you're used to, but thank you. That's new for us. So I'm going to call on Rachel if Rachel is there. Would you like to say anything, or do you have thoughts? And welcome.
Well, first of all, I'm a terrible singer, so I can appreciate the voices of others, but I may be lip syncing while everyone else is singing. I'll be faking it. But my participation in this meeting was really just to listen. This is the first meeting I've attended as an observer. And so I'm just amazed at the amount that you guys have on your plate. And I think it's incredible that you get it all done, since there are 5 vacancies. So that was my reason for tuning in, because I know Terry, I was interested in potentially applying. I think there's really not, in being a recent sort of involvee in town goings on, there's so many ways that the cultural council really gets involved. I mean, Julianne mentioned the ARPA funding, the mental health that you bring, the diversity and inclusion committee presented last night, and I thought it was interesting how much you guys could contribute to that as well, beyond your own separate cultural fests and art. My reason for my interest in the committee was living here 20 years and just taking advantage of the public school system and the trails and drive the town common and never giving back. And the cultural council really has their hands in all of those places that I've been able to, bear the fruits of as a resident here. So I don't have a lot to contribute at this point, except that I think a cultural fest is a great idea in person. I think from a mental health for all of us, if we have the space to do it, whether it's the town common or a church lawn, certainly sounds like a wonderful idea to me. But I don't have a lot that I can add from an expertise standpoint, except that I really thank you for all that you've done, because I think, the links that you have with lots of committees throughout town is really wonderful.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
you.
You were welcome to join us. You are welcome to be on a subcommittee. Maybe there's just pieces of what we do or during the year that you certainly can join us. But it's been said, many hands make light work, but we do have a lot of fun together when we are able to get together. So I would just say that, thank you for enjoying all the arts, because it's nice to know that somebody's reaping the benefits from that. And,
Yes, well, yes,
more
it's
to
nice to be
come.
able to thank you in person, because you don't always get to do that, so.
Yeah, yep. And so I'm glad that you reached out, and that's how it starts. Yeah, I used to just go to work and slide my kids out the door to school or to this group or that or something. And I just I enjoy it. I want other people to enjoy it. And I have come to learn how creative people are here. And, it's nice to have connections to people instead of just going through routines blindly.
That's what makes us a community. And yes, I agree. The talent in this town is unparalleled. Like it's really, the more
Yep.
people I get to know, the more I realize that. So thank you.
And that's fun. That's the part of the fun. Thank you for pushing me on this, Vic. Are there any other ideas anybody would like to share? Because
Do we need yet another subcommittee for this, or is this I'm going to say it's a team effort. So we need to continue to discuss this at every meeting. But,
think
time
so.
gets away from us, because then when we really get down to it, it will be scrambling if we don't come up with formulate some kind of, groundwork for some ideas pretty soon. So
Okay.
perhaps for the next meeting, we should all come with some ideas, like concrete ideas, and
Agreed.
start putting them out there. I mean,
Agreed.
we got two today, right? But like more concrete ideas.
I like this, and it could be that while we're planning some of these other things or making connections, that more ideas are going to start to come. And so Julie's right. We have the women of note. Maybe there's some other ones, or maybe something from the high school where people would be interested in doing something. I don't know, but I think we have a lot of talent here, and maybe not always necessarily the venue to do it. Or yes, maybe if you had kids in school, you would see some of this. I will give you an example. At the high school today, I covered I live streamed an event. It was called Poetry Out Loud, and like 6 students competed. And it was fantastic. And the auditorium was pretty full of everybody spaced out, but and so the students had memorized like from Emily Dickinson to more modern, and so it was how they expressed it. So I see something like that becoming valuable, and interesting. It's the way they did it. They just walked up on stage and started talking, and there was some of them were so nervous beforehand, but then they just did it. And so what if we start supporting some of these efforts too, that in between music, come up, poetry out loud, fantastic. I think it's fantastic. Or maybe we have our own local author read some of her own writings, Lori.
So I have a question. Was that directed towards me? No.
Actually, Lori,
Lori,
Lori
very
wrote
good.
too, but
Well, so I have a question. Not having seen, or I don't know. This is all going to be outdoors. Is that what we're saying? Outdoors, where in the commons or on the lawn of the First Parish Church, right? So
To be
this puts
determined.
restrictions on things immediately in terms of weather and shelter and electricity. So, and staging. I mean, if we're trying to invite groups to be doing something, they have to know if there's going to be those things involved. Are they going to? Is there can't just drag a piano out, into the grass, for example. And if you don't have a stage, you're never going to have dancers. So it's
We had a stage, and we
Janine,
have.
if I may, we did this twice live.
Yes.
With all of those things that you're talking about.
Yes.
The points are spot on, but yeah, we're comfortable that we can put on that kind of a production.
Uh-huh.
This is all points that we will work together. Yep.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So it's good. You're absolutely right. And you're almost like a plant in the crowd, so people understand what goes into it. And, it helps to, I think, bring up some of the excitement.
It's an undertaking.
It is.
Right. Well, I can't possibly come up with ideas or, suggest groups if I don't know what the limitations are. It's because that's what they're going to be. That's what they'll want to know. Otherwise, they would never say yes or even consider it. So.
And this is part of what I think this needs to be. So Vic, if you can include this as an agenda item for a future meeting, planning for this. And my suggestion is the May, June timeframe.
Yeah, you and I actually came up with an arbitrary June date for as part of the report.
Oh, yes, we did.
Remember, I think we
Yes.
just took the middle of June. So that puts us at, I think it was June 18th or 19th, which is a Saturday, Sunday. So
I
we just
think
kind
you're
of
right.
said, that's the date. Something to shoot for was kind of, it can be whatever. I think originally we even talked as early as March, and then that was the snow, and then it was May, and then it's, whatever. So anywhere in between.
I like it. Okay.
I would suggest that past Father's Day, you're not going to get anybody to do anything. That's it. That's the cutoff.
We
It
forgot.
really is. It's the cutoff for virtually everything. After that, people start going on vacation and they're not around on the weekends. And so,
Yeah, kids get out of school, so summer begins for the families.
yeah.
That's a good point. I just want to
That's a good
know when.
point. Yeah.
Father's Day weekend. Father's Day is the 19th. So the 18th sounds like an awesome,
Or the week before that.
or the week before that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
think graduation might be the 5th from high
Of
school
May, of June.
of June. I think,
Right, I'm thinking college, sorry.
yeah, that I can't speak to.
No.
Usually that's May-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we have a potential dart on the dartboard. Okay. Anything else that we should be talking about until our next meeting? I guess if you have any agenda thoughts, send them to Vic, get it on. That's it for now.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to
No, we
adjourn.
all want to stay here all night long. Okay.
Lori makes the motion.
Lori motioned. Do I have a second?
Oh, sure. Oh, Lori, I'll second. Yeah.
Oh, Janine second.
Yeah.
Okay. So going down the row. Craig.
No, I do not agree. I have a feeling I'll be outvoted. Sorry. All right, I'll change my answer. Yes.
Okay. And so that's it. And so Lori
Yes.
and Janine.
Oh, yes, right. I
And
thought we
Vic.
voted on that
Yes.
already. Okay, so
Yes.
voting again.
And-
Yeah.
And Craig.
Yes, I thought it was.
Yes.
He did. He was the
I
first one.
thought he
Yeah.
voted already
Oh, I
also.
thought that was this. Okay, second. And
Whatever.
we're done. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight and spending time with us, taking time out of your evening. And we look forward to seeing you at future events
Next
in
meeting.
Northborough.